Hello, everybody. It's Bill, that college football guy here with another video. This is the recap show, but it's a recap. Is there really wasn't much stuff that went on really this past week? Main thing, the future of this story, and I'm gonna get other stuff to get to the main topic is the Big 12 rumors we've been hearing about Oregon State and Washington State joining the conference. Some of it may be real, maybe not real, but it got me thinking about the fact is, will Oregon State and Washington State eventually end up in the Big 12? Maybe it's 2026, 2027, 2031. Will they eventually get there? Yeah, I do believe they will. But the question is the fact that even Oregon State and Washington State fans know they're not coming alone. Just two is not going to do it. There's rumor about Florida State and Clemson. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But they said, okay, we can get all the way up to 32. No, you're not. 32 is just mind-bogglingly stupid. But it came to, what's the limit here? And I've been saying 20. Turns out 20 may not be. But if you want to make the Big 12 to be the best conference it can be, you need to have schools out east, wherever those are. And you need to be a little bit more out west when it's all said and done. Now, I don't know. I'm not talking if this is 2026, 2027, 2031, 2037, 2040, when this is all said and done. I have no idea on timeline. But we'll get into that. All right, first, a couple things we're going to get off this on the start of the video. We have, first off, literally broke Friday afternoon. The University of Kentucky, the Wildcats, got put on 2 years probation for violations of the football and swimming programs. Swimming, that's when I'm like, okay, swimming, football, okay, I kind of swimming. Swimming longer than they have to after meets, little small violations. Head coach knew that's a separate issue. They're gonna be on there. She's not accepting the punishment, so that's a whole separate thing going on. 11 football players got paid for jobs they never showed up for. No-show jobs. This has been a thing that's going on in college football for a long time. They got nailed for it, and 2 years probation. And any win that these players participated in will be forfeited. Oh boy, that's going to knock some things off of Mike Stoops' record. Now, the second thing we're getting into, and real quick here, is that the fact is I was going to do my top 25 and do a standalone video for it. Realize I got too much stuff to get into here. So this is real quick. I'm going to get into this because I know most everybody's coming into this to see, okay, the Kentucky news, okay, top 25, but you want to hear about the Oregon State, Washington State stuff, the Pac-12, the Big 12, and how that's going. So my preseason top 25. Doing this real quick to get into it. This is what will be going on for the start of the season. I do my predictions. This is based on how good I think they are now. Not how good I think they will be at the end of the year, because I've done my prediction videos how they'll be at the end of the year. But this is where they are now, how I'm ranking them. Now. All right. Number one, no surprise, the Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to be just a beast to deal with. Number two, Ohio State. You can flip 1 and 2. They're the two teams everybody figures is probably playing for the national championship. But you have other schools like number 3, Oregon could somehow get in there. Number 4, Texas, but their firepower can get into this too. Number 5, Alabama. Here's where I start getting different from everybody else. Number 6, Ole Miss. I think they have a chance to do some firepower. They're going to have some offensive firepower. Can the defense step up? That's going to be a cue. Number 7, Penn State. I think they're clearly could be the third best team in the Big Ten. Could they get better than that? I don't know. We'll see. Number 8, Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't really play anybody tough on their schedule. So, and I looked at what they have. You had a guy I forgot his name, who's your new offensive coordinator, who was the offensive coordinator at LSU, who catered an offense around Jaden Daniels and got him the Heisman Trophy. Now he goes to Notre Dame and he gets to plug Riley Leonard into the same offense. That's going to be interesting. All right. Speaking of LSU, number 9, LSU, because they're going to be up there, going to be a competitive SEC team. I believe the fact that a lot of people are underappreciating them. I think they're not going to be as good with Nussmeier quarterback. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. Number 10, speaking of teams that's surprising some people, I got USC. People are going like, oh man, USC's going to be trash and everything else. Look at their schedule. All of their toughest opponents, and one thing, if you know my predictions and how I do things, cross-country travel matters. It takes something away from you, whether you're a West Coast team traveling East Coast or an East Coast team traveling West. It doesn't matter. It takes something out of you. All of USC's most tough opponents are at home. Everybody comes to them, which gives them an advantage. That people don't think about that. Number 11, Florida State. They're the best team in the ACC. And it's not even close. They may have a slip up here and there. There they go at it. Number 12, Missouri. I'm going to say you got all these other teams ahead of Missouri. Missouri has a very easy schedule. and people are buying because they're going to have a lot of wins, they're a good team. There's a difference between the two. You could be a team like a G5 could be 12-0, and a SEC, Big 10, Big 12 team could be 8-4, and they'll beat up the 12-0 G5. Just because your record says you're one thing doesn't mean you're something else. It's a different story here. Number 13, we have Utah, who on paper right now looks like the best team in the Big 12. But they're going to have, I think, eventually they'll have some issues at the end of the year. Number 14, Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold has a lot to live up to. He's got a lot of things to look up to. How well he's going to do here, we'll see about that. Number 15, we're talking about Michigan. Yes, Michigan, the cover's been bared. A lot of things are going to happen here. Ron Moore's got to take over as the starting head coach. How well is that team going to be? We'll see. Number 16, Oklahoma State. A team that is the most senior-laden, more redshirt seniors and I think super seniors on this team than any other team in FBS. They are loaded down with experience, and they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Number 17, Tennessee. I would say people rank Tennessee as high as 8. This is Nico's first year as a starter. He doesn't get that kind of credit this early in the year. I'm a Tennessee fan. The Vols hat proves it. I'm not going to be the fact to say the fact just because you're this talented by name, you deserve that hype. No. Number 18, we have Miami. Cam Ward and that offense is going to be fun to watch. And if Cam ends up in New York for the Heisman ceremony, it would not surprise me one bit. Number 19, Clemson. A lot of people on there tell me the fact, you know what you're talking about. Clemson, Kate Klubnik's going to win the Heisman. No, he's not. There are a lot of guys, a lot in the ACC who are better than him, and a lot of people in other conferences better than him. Okay, they're a good team, but not good enough. Number 20, we have Kansas. Datos for Kansas, Jalen, is he going to stay healthy? That's my big concern with him. And the team on there and all the transition they have with coordinators and everything else. How's that going to do? We'll find out about. Speaking of coordinators and staff, number 21, Texas A&M. Mike Elko and staff taking over. How are they going to handle things on here? We'll find out about that. Number 22, Kansas State. Powerhouse in the Big 12. Some people think, they're going to be the team to beat. There's some teams ahead of you there. That's right. Number 23, surprising some people, Virginia Tech. I have them up here on this list because I think they're going to be a very good ACC team, and I was flip-flopping between them and number 24, NC State. It's going to be a tough battle between the two of them. You can flip either one of those two. I think they'll be on there. And number 25, the team that could potentially shock some people during the season if they figure out an offense, and that's Iowa. How good could they be? It all depends. All right. Should be getting the meat and potatoes of this. We'll do 7:45 on the timestamp. But here's what we're talking about here. Rumors been going around about the Big 12 getting a scheduling alliance with the Big 12. Between the Pac-12 getting a scheduling alliance with the Big 12, Oregon State and Washington State, and then possibly joining them in 2026. Except for the fact is that, we keep the Big 12 money, Pac-12 money. If we go July 1st, 2026. No, you don't. The separation agreement, there's an execution copy of the separation agreement of the Pac-12, that the 10 departing schools declared in a clause that if the Pac-12 does not exist at the end of fiscal year 2026, which is September 26, 2026, that's the 26-27 season. That's not this season, not next season, but the season after. If that conference does not exist, all the Pac-12 network assets are sold. The money from the money, other than the $65 million, which was set aside with Oregon State and Washington State, they get to keep that. But the other money, we're talking about the Rose Bowl money, which the Rose Bowl is apparently disputing. Whether that's paid off or not, the college football playoff revenue and the NCAA tournament revenue. All that plus the selling of the Pac-12 network assets is combined together and split 12 ways. If you want to keep the money, the conference has to exist. Not this season. 3 years from now, the conference has to exist. 26-27. Which is 2 years now, technically. But not this season or next season, but the season after. So they're going to have to do that. Now, is there anything going with the scheduling agreement of them joining the Big 12? Anything on there? It's a lot of rumor and innuendo. I've seen a lot of guys on Twitter make a statement about this. There's team because Brett Yormark says he wants to get the Pacific time zone. He said he wanted to get the Pacific time zone. He was going after Gonzaga. He also knows the fact that in order to get the most money from his media partners, he's got to maximize it. The only way you truly maximize it is to strike that iron and get that done right before your media deal is going to be done. You agree to terms. They may come in to the conference, the new media deal starts, but you've already brought them in, notification done prior. So you get maximum media value. And I have stated for a while, I thought the best course of action for Oregon State and Washington State would have been keep all your money. Don't buy any schools like the room around there. First off, number one, before you do anything, you contact the ACC, you contact the Big 12, you contact the Big 10. Somebody say contact the SEC. No, the SEC is not interested in Oregon State and Washington State. Put that one to bed. That's the one power conference that is definitely not interested. But everybody else, yes. Call them up, do the last minute. At the same time, have background plans going. Have contingency plans ready. Everything ready to go just in case things fall through so you're not homeless. Now, we know they have the scheduling agreement, Oregon State and Washington State, with the Mountain West for this season. And it was reported out that Pac-12 Commissioner Teresa Gold and Mountain West Conference Commissioner Gloria Nevarez are working together to try to finalize year 2 of the scheduling agreement. And they were hoping to get that announced before kickoff of this season. That's going to be cutting it close to get this done. It's going to be pushed back as far as possibly October. That's also the same note we heard about the fact about the Big 12 coming up. But the fact is, I want to say this. The rumors going out about the Big 12's possible scheduling agreement with Oregon State and Washington State and them joining the conference came out almost the same time as the John Canzano interview with Washington State President Kirk Scholz, who said the fact we have no money to expand. We can't buy any schools from the Mountain West. We have to look at not acquisitions, but partnerships. We're going to have to join together with somebody. And as been stated, Steve from the Big Mountain Podcast stated, and the fact is there are, and many people know that there are 5 stages of grief. And right now, Oregon State and Washington State fans are in the bargaining stage. They want to make themselves in the best possible position they can be in, and it's understandable. Whether they're going to get into it or not, we don't know, because there's a lot of time happening between now and then. Now, could they possibly get a scheduling agreement? Yes. There's a rumor going out there that possibly Oregon State is going to be the only one going to the Big 12, and Washington State could be staying behind to do the merger because they can't afford to leave the Pac-12 money behind because Oregon State has a little bit of financial problems. Washington State has a lot of financial problems, and they can't fix this in 1 year. They have to wait to get that money set up for like 2031. They're going to have to wait till then. Like I said, my thought was the best thing for them to do, the logic one for me is if they cannot get in the Big 12 or the ACC, because I don't see the Big 10 saying yes because of academics, and SEC is definitely out. I see them going to merging with the Mountain West Conference, absorbing the Mountain West into the Pac-12 to keep the Pac-12 name. That way you run it for a few years. You sign a 5-year media deal, the same as everybody else is. So you're in 2031, the same year the Big 12's deal ends. You grab Gonzaga, as I've said this before in other videos, Gonzaga is being rumored for coming into the conference because Gonzaga was told by people in the Big 12, you're a great program in basketball, but you're not good enough right now to get in. So you play Duke, you play UConn, non-con. That's right, but your conference schedule's trash. You need to improve your conference schedule. Mountain West, Pac-12, get their thing done. Whatever that conference is, merge with that, get in there, and run that conference for 5 years. Because if you can't handle that conference schedule, how are you going to handle the Big 12 schedule? You're not. So, here's the scenario I'm talking about. Could the eventual future of the Big 12, this is after all, like I said, it could be 2026, 2027, 2031, 2037, 2040, when it's all shaken out and done. I'm saying about 24 teams in the conference. You bring in Oregon State and Washington State and 6 from the ACC. I think that's too much. I've said 20 would be a good round number. But for the Big 12, they're in a different situation. You need to have a little more strength in numbers. Not much more, but a little bit. But their advantage is going to be in having a coast-to-coast football operation and the best basketball conference. You put both those two together, they're in a very solid place. So I looked at it this way. Well, how can you do both? Because the long rumors are going out there. Everybody can tell you, being another Oregon State, Washington State fans from Kansas, that Gonzaga has been rumored to come into the conference. But the rumor was you bring one school from the West, you bring one school in from the East. Who's that going to be? There's also the other rumor, which is coming out right now. that I got. But I know I talked to who told me the fact that I said he talked to some people and they said UConn's thinking of pulling a Villanova. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He says, okay, so you know what Villanova is, right? So the Big East is a five-star. I got a five-star. Look at my page right now. Is a power conference, like in basketball, like the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10, the SEC. They're a power conference in basketball, but but they don't have football anymore. It became the American. It's a totally separate deal. They just abandoned it. Just at the basketball schools. And they're making more money than the American schools are right now. That's another story for another day. But Villanova is one school in the Big East. Now, we know UConn is the fact is they want to bring everything. Their football over and their basketball over into a power conference. The basketball is definitely power worthy, but football is trash. I said, why don't you dissolve the program? No, we don't want to do that because we have and we feel it could be competitive in the right environment. So someone proposed, apparently behind the scenes or whatever, so this is rumor and innuendo, that they pull a Villanova. What the hell is a Villanova? Villanova is a power school in the Big East, but their football program is FCS. The proposal would be for UConn to keep their basketball at the power level, but to drop the football to FCS. Basketball and the stuff would stay up, but football would drop FCS. And with their talent, they would actually be able to do some good damage, have a name for there, and do some good stuff there, while basketball dominates. Now it gets to the point here. I said what the right number is like, and we've had scheduling models. We talk about like 20 schools being the matchup, eventually having 20 schools for a scheduling model. You know, it was brought up that a 20-team conference, you know, they're talking about going to 20 teams will be the scheduling model for it. Well, you do a 20-team football conference, it's you and 19 opponents. You're not worried about yourself, you're worried about those 19 schools you got to play. You have 4 guaranteed rivals, cuts the 19 to 15. That's 5, 5, 5. A 9-game conference schedule, play everybody every 3 years. Everybody comes to your stadium every 6. And said, oh, we'll do 24. And there's a scheduling model for that, for balance, because they do like the networks do like the idea of a balanced scheduling model, because that way they can know what to do, what to predict. They know what games are coming, what year, based upon the model, so they can do things to catch and actually book stuff ahead of time, which is good for them. They like that. But a 24-team conference model, that's you and 23 opponents, 3 conference games, 3 guaranteed rivals. Cuts that 20, cuts the 23 to 20. That's 5, 5, 5, 5. 8-game conference schedule. You play everybody at 4 years, everybody comes to your stadium every 8. They don't want an 8-game schedule. So don't do 20. Don't do 24. What about 22? This is where I think the sweet spot is. I think the Big 12's future. I think they're going to have 22 for football, which is Oregon State, Washington State, and 4 Eastern schools. Whether they're 4 from the ACC, like rumored being around there is Miami, Virginia Tech, NC State, and Louisville. Whether it's 4 G5 schools, we're talking about Memphis, Tulane, South Florida, whatever other one you want to take your pick. Or it's a combination of the two. 4 schools in the Eastern time zone. But Oregon State and Washington State coming in. And you're going, but 22, but 24 in basketball. You're going to think, why is this? Hear me out. 22 for football. Like a 6-game schedule, they're not going to want. An 8-game schedule, they're not going to want because it's weakened. But 22 teams is 22-team football conference is you and 21 opponents. 3 guaranteed rivals cuts the 21 to 18. That's that 666. That's a 9-game conference schedule. You play everybody every 3 years. Everybody comes to your stadium every 6. A 9-game conference schedule appears to be what I've been hearing is kind of what they want from the Big 12. If they added more teams, because it allows you to schedule a power school and still have a couple other non-cons, maybe even 2 power schools if you're feeling frisky. But you get the chance to do that and expand your stuff on there. And for like Oregon State and Washington State, they have Oregon and Washington respectively as matchups, keeping those rivalries going, plus maybe schedule somebody else. Have those rivalries going. Now, so that means for 22, okay, that would be a 9-game conference schedule. You pick 3 protected rivals. Okay, you work this out. You can get things done. Okay, that's fine. We can work with this. Now, I've told you about basketball. What if it's 22 for football, 24 for basketball? Now, Right now, the Big 12 is playing about an 18-game conference schedule. If you have a 24-team basketball conference, you think upping the conference games from 18 to 22 is that big of an ask? I don't think so, considering how many teams you got. Plus, your media partners are going to absolutely love the idea. More conference games, this is really going to draw some value. So here's my idea to get basketball in. This is where I think where Gonzaga is going to come in, and Oregon State of Washington State comes in. This whole thing is fluid and fits geographically for basketball. You have three 8-team divisions. 3. Now, what would the Western Division be? Or Pacific Division, whatever the heck you want to call it. Oregon State, Washington State, Gonzaga, BYU, Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. Those 8 play each other. That conference plays each other. The Eastern Division, you'd have the Eastern School. If UConn, by the time this gets done, decides to go and put football in FCS, or St. John's or whoever, you have a basketball school in the East. You also have your 4 new additions from the East. The ACC schools, whatever you have, that's 5. You add that to Cincinnati, West Virginia, and UCF. You have an 18 division there. That means your division in the middle of the country, your old Big 12 division, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Houston. So you have a Western Division, you have an Eastern Division, and you have the one in the Midwest. And now for the scheduling for 22 games. 8-team division, you play everybody in your own division, home and away. That's 14 games for the 7 other teams you got to play. And then you play 4 games. 4 teams from each of the other divisions, home or away. That means by the time you play home or away against 4 teams, by the time 4 years has gone by, you will have played everybody in each division, home and away, in a 2-year period. In a 4-year period, you'll play everybody home and away. You play 4 games against the middle division. If it's like Oregon State, Washington State, you play 4 against the Central Division and 4 against the Eastern. That gives you 8 more games to your 14. That's 22. That also means the fact that on there, and if you could somehow get UConn in with Gonzaga, with Arizona, with Kansas, and everybody else, is there any doubt this is not the best basketball conference in the country? And you might see more schools from East as well. So you'd have a Pacific Division for basketball, a Midwestern Division, and an Eastern Division. It keeps each one contained for geography for basketball. You use the same things for the Olympic sports, for all those that qualify. You have a 3-region conference when it comes to Olympic sports. Football doesn't have to have divisions. You can make it the whole thing at large, and the top 2 teams go through. 2 things go through the conference, and the top 2 battle for the championship. Or maybe you do a top 4 eventually if the schools get big enough. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how that's going to work, but that's another story for another day. But that's my thought process on this. Go to 22 for football, 24 for basketball. You bring in Oregon State and Washington State and 4 schools from the East. That's your 6 additions to your 18 you have. The 16 you have, that makes 22, that makes 22. And then you bring in 2 schools, basketball schools only. That way you have 9 football schools, 9-game football schedule. That keeps your advertisers happy. You have a nice competitive schedule. You don't play everybody. It's going to take a while to play everybody. It's going to take almost 4 years to go around and play everybody. It'll take almost 8 to play everybody else. But it's a good, balanced schedule. Actually, it's 3 years to play everybody and 6 to play everybody in football. Everybody comes to your stadium in 6 years. But the point is this: it gives you that advantage of having football being the focal point, and you can play everybody, but also the Olympic sports having 3 separate regions. It allows for geographical rivalries. It allows to minimize travel to an extent, and it allows for things to go through. So I think this model for the Big 12 might be the future. That possibly going to a 22 for football, 24 for basketball. This is my idea. I'm not hearing this. This is just my idea, because I'm thinking if you're going to add Oregon State and Washington State, getting Gonzaga 2 helps with travel with them, and it also you got 3 teams up there. You have the 5 in the middle, so that everything, the travel's kind of centralized. It keeps everything going and fluid. Midwest has their own Big 12 rivalries. They all know how to do that one, and the Eastern schools are not on either. So that keeps travel isolated, and you only have to go so many games. Most of your basketball games athletic games will be in your region. So it's regionality within a giant coast-to-coast conference. I've talked long enough about this. Why don't you let me know what you think about this down in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done already, do me a favor. Smash the like button, hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. What do you think about my idea? The idea for the Big 12. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments, okay? This could be the future. I don't know what year it's going to be or what school it's going to be. Like I said, it could be all G5 schools at the end of the future. We don't know about this. We're talking about spitball, and this is the future. But 4 schools in the East. But tell me what you think about this down in the comments. Share the video if you want to. If you haven't done already, do me a favor. Check out some of the videos I've done. If you haven't done already, subscribe to the channel. All the way to 700 subscribers, slowly but surely on the crawl to 1,000 to make some things happen. So thanks everybody for watching. It's a beautiful Sunday. Record this really early in the morning because I got to get going here and not be nice where I'm going. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody's having a great day. Be safe out there and please be good to each other.